Hi guys, before we start off, I just want to thank everyone for sending me questions, because obviously, without questions, I couldn't even start this series, so thanks you guys who did submit questions. Now, unfortunately, obviously, I'm unable to answer everyone's questions, so if your question didn't get answered in this video, there's a good chance that it will be answered in the next. So let's just start right off. Alex Sweeney on Twitter asked me, how long did it take you to get good with Photoshop? Also, how did you learn it? Self-taught, school, online tutorial? Okay, as many of you probably don't know, I first started YouTube with a community gaming channel called 360 Game Zone. It got about 5,000 subs, and then I sold it because I didn't actually use the channel. And what I did was my dad kind of got me Photoshop, and I never really used it before. But I thought to myself, you know what, I've seen all these channels starting to do backgrounds, so I thought to myself, well, I've got Photoshop, I might as well give it a go. Which obviously I did. I tried to find one of the first backgrounds I ever did. If I did find it, I'll show it in the video now. If not, then unfortunate for all of us, because it isn't the best. And it didn't take me long to get good. A lot of practice, I suppose. So the graphics sort of things took off after about a year, probably, of messing around with it. No, that's way too long. Probably a couple of months, not a year. Because obviously I did my first background for Grizz about probably 3-4 years ago. When he had about 100,000 subscribers or something. I don't know, something like that. And this was back when he was doing COD 4 videos, I think. Yeah, it was. So, yeah, a long time ago. And obviously I've still been doing it since. How did I learn it? Self-taught, school, online tutorial. Okay, so I never had Photoshop lessons or any kind of digital art lessons at school. Our school never really pushed for that. They only really offered like fine art courses, so digital art really wasn't something I was able to be taught at school. So I had to kind of self-teach myself, which is sometimes when I do my tutorials, people say, you could have done it easier if you'd have just done this. Well, you see, I don't know a lot of the keyboard shortcuts or different ways to get around things because I've taught myself. So I just do what's easy for me, whereas obviously you guys have different ways of doing it. Online tutorial, yeah, I watched a few. To be honest, not many though. Maybe a couple on Photoshop of how to kind of do certain things with text. Maybe how to like change some colours and stuff. I don't know, something like that. I never really watch tutorials because I kind of like learning my own way, so I remember it. If I just watch a tutorial, chances are I won't remember what they've said, what they've done. So I don't find them that useful in that light, in that respect. So thanks, Alex, for that question. Next question is from Ashley Renshaw. He said to me, university, what have you chosen, where and why? Okay, so I chose film at university. Now you guys are both thinking, why aren't you doing graphics or why aren't you doing art or something like that? Well, film is actually what I like doing, and I, as you guys probably might or may not know, I did a film for the British charity Sane, which was just a short about mental illness awareness and stuff like that. And film is really where I sort of come into my own. I like directing, I like telling people how to do things. I don't mean that in kind of like a dictator way, but I mean like, I like seeing my vision come to light, and I like it being done exactly how I envision it. Which is kind of the same as design, I suppose. You have an idea in your head and you like the way you take full control of how it's done. But I like experimenting with moving image. I've always watched films. I've always loved movies. Martin Scorsese for me is like my top director. Love all his films like Goodfellas, Casino. Even Hugo was actually really good. It was his first kind of 3D kids film. But yeah, he's a great director. Inspired me a lot. I've chosen Middlesex University in London. It's in Hendon, the campus which I'll be going to. I chose that uni because it's close to London. Obviously, London's going to have a lot of opportunity. It's more where you're going to find work like that, rather than if I was to go to a uni and say, I don't know, Birmingham or something. London's like the heart of the creative world. Manchester's always also really good for creative stuff as well, if any of you guys are thinking about going to university. But that's why I chose Middlesex. They've also said as well that if you do a really good film, they submit it to the Cannes Film Festival and BAFTA, which is also, something that is really good. So yeah, that's why I chose that uni, and why. Thanks, Ashley, for that question. Okay, so Billy Noyes asked me, where do you get your design ideas from, and what do you want to work as? Well, I kind of covered in my last question. I want to be doing film directing and anything with film, maybe camera work even, or just start off low and work my way up. Because obviously everyone knows film is a really hard industry to break into. But where do I get my design ideas from? I don't know. A lot of it is obviously kind of looking around at what other people are doing and what other people are finding, kind of, not in fashion, but that kind of idea. Because obviously things come, things go. People start to like different things. As for ideas, I don't know. I think a lot of it just comes from myself. I do tend to have quite a lot of ideas when it comes to design, but sometimes, just like everyone else, I don't have a clue what to do. And that's when maybe you'll see that I don't make many videos for a while, or something like that. I also get a lot of my ideas from films, though, which is why I do a lot of movie posters, because I'll only do movie posters for films I like, so it'll be a film I like, and I kind of enjoy experimenting with the different styles you see in the film, and then putting it onto a graphic design. So that definitely helps a lot. Watching films, getting that kind of creative juices flowing, if you like, and looking at the way the stuff is associated with that genre. So say a horror film, you look at some of the fonts, some of the colours, and you can associate that with graphic design, and it works like that. I think that's pretty much it for that question, to be honest. I can't really think of anything else to explain it. Michael McKay, I hope I've said that right. How was it you started graphic design, and are you studying it in school? Well, again, kind of answered that in the first question. Just started experimenting for gamers on gaming channels and stuff. And am I studying it at school? I did study graphics at GCSE, which I got an A in, but graphics then was more like box design for like phones and stuff. So that wasn't really graphics. And then I picked it up at A level, but then I quit because the teacher was just miserable as anything. Honestly, this guy, you wouldn't believe him, right? His wife got hit by like a car while she was on her bike. Okay, you guys might be thinking, you can't have a go in for that. No, you can, because you keep personal things out of the workplace. And we'd like come in, and if we were like a little bit late, he'd just go crazy. He'd just go crazy at the whole class, and he'd sit there every lesson just miserable. And I'm sorry, but that just doesn't make me want to go to a lesson. Doesn't make me want to turn up. Doesn't make me want to commit to this subject. So I had to quit graphics, and I took up media, and that's where my interest in film and stuff like that took place. For any of you guys who want to know the origin story of my my film interest. So thanks, Michael, for that question. Steve asked me, what motivates you to create a piece in Photoshop? I feel like I'm kind of repeating myself with these questions, but obviously, again, films motivate me. Maybe having a good sit down, watching a couple of movies, help me kind of look at the way they're designed, look at the way, even just like opening titles, that kind of gives me inspiration for pieces in Photoshop. Sometimes if I'm bored, I'll sit and do something in Photoshop. Sometimes if I've not uploaded in a while, it motivates me to do something in Photoshop. I don't know, really. As I said, Photoshop now is not really... It's not something I want to 100% pursue, because I want to try a bit more film stuff, and I've already got a script written, and we're going to be filming next week, so that should be quite fun. But as for Photoshop, most of the stuff I do now is just film-based, if you've seen some of my work. And that's because I'm trying to make that transition while still doing design, because I do enjoy design work, it is fun, but I am experimenting more with film. Okay, so the next question, this was on YouTube from that user. I cannot pronounce that name, I don't even know what that says. Tips for new designers starting on YouTube. Okay, so there's a lot of new designers, and a lot of them do layouts for really cheap prices. I'm saying a lot of them do layouts for like $1, like £1, and that is nothing for how much work you're actually putting in. You're like getting the minimum wage you could possibly get. Designers in real life charge thousands for work, depending on what it is, okay? You guys charging $1 are just cutting your balls off. It just doesn't work like So tips for new designers: instead of doing backgrounds for $1, do backgrounds for subs. Say to people, look, I'll do backgrounds for you if you get me 10 subs, if you get me 20 subs. Because then you build an audience, and then you even got a chance of those subs asking you for backgrounds. And that's how it works. Then you get a huge audience. And that's how I did it, honestly. That's how I first started. I said, look, okay, I'll do your background if you get me 10. Then it slowly went up to 15, 20, 25. And it just went up like that. And these people would get me these subs. And honestly, it worked well like that, because there's a lot of people who don't want to pay. Doing speed arts. Now, obviously people like watching speed arts, but I don't know. I don't, personally. I prefer watching tutorials. So if I was a beginner, not now, I don't watch tutorials now, but if I was a beginner, I'd much rather watch a tutorial to learn how to get better than a speed art, which shows me nothing other than the other designer's skill. So for new designers, maybe look around at YouTube tutorials, check some of those out, maybe make some of your own, because obviously as you learn new things, you can make a tutorial in that, which works really well. Like, for example, my microphone tutorial, I made one for this video, and then did a tutorial on it, because I thought it would be interesting for you guys to learn how to do it, because it looks quite good. So yeah, for new designers, don't sell yourself short. Make sure you're getting a good price, or get a good kind of, you're getting something back for what you're actually doing, rather than just getting nothing, because that's also don't compromise. Compromise school with YouTube. Okay, don't do too much of one or the other. Because if you spend too much time on YouTube, you won't get enough schoolwork done. If you spend enough time doing schoolwork, your YouTube channel will slack, and then your channel won't progress. Obviously, I'm not saying, well, if you've got loads of schoolwork, just don't do it. Just stick to YouTube. If you've got loads of schoolwork to do, and you don't know how long it's going to take, then just do it. Get it out of the way so you can go on YouTube. Because the internet is so vast, people aren't going to mind if you don't upload one day, if you don't upload 2 days, just because you've got some schoolwork. People will understand that. We're all human, we've all been to school. Okay, that's a tip for a new designer. Okay, so 1v1's Warfare Network. As you're saying, where did you learn how to do graphics as well as you do? And is there a college in the US that you recommend going to? Okay, so again, experimenting. That's it. Just practice experimenting, and just see what other people do in the community and try and do it yourself. Don't ask them how to. Don't Google how to. Actually try and do it. Because when you do it, you figure out it's actually not as hard as you think. Is there a college in the US that you would recommend going to? Well, I don't know what you are wanting to study. I suppose graphics is what you want to do. So honestly, no, I don't know, because I'm not from the US and I have no idea of what school is good for graphics. I know what school is good for film, but not graphics. No, sorry. The Moon Effects asked me, do you still consider yourself part of the YouTube graphics community, or do you just enjoy making videos and leaving YouTube as more a portfolio and forum than just a place to work? Yeah, I don't really consider myself part of the YouTube graphics community. I kind of consider myself part of the old community, because me, Sherbet Melon, Apex, Matty, we all still talk, we all still get on. But now there's just so many channels that have come out of nowhere, so many channels that have been partnered with Yaush that just, they're kind of exploiting the fact they've got this partnership when anyone could get it. If any of you watching this are partnered with Yaush, I'm not saying it's bad, I'm just saying that I think there's just so many designers that have come to YouTube just for the money, they've come to YouTube just to get a partnership, and it doesn't work like that. Me, Apex, and Matty, and Strats even, and Sherb, when we got our partnerships, we got them, not legit, because obviously Yaush is legit, but we got them through our own backs. We didn't do it through a network. We did it all on our own, and I mean, it took us a while. We had to wait till we had 100,000 views, 5,000 subs, and that took quite a long time back then when we did it, because graphics on YouTube wasn't as big then, and Strats got declined 3 times. It was hard to get a partnership. Whereas now it's just so easy, and I don't like that community. I don't like the community where it's just easy for anyone to succeed. I know that sounds selfish because I don't want other people to do as well, but in the reality in the world, you don't see a million film directors. You don't see a million, people that are good in their speciality, because in real life it's a dog-eat-dog world, and not everyone can do as well as everyone else. And I think that's what the problem is with the community at the moment. Everyone is given the chance to actually get a partnership, whereas back then it was so hard to get. Back then, if you got a partnership, you were like, oh, wow, I've got a partnership. there's only like, literally me, Strats, and Apex and Shub were like the only people in the entire graphics community to have a partnership. Literally. And now everyone has one. And it doesn't make anyone stand out anymore. Everyone's kind of on the same level, and I don't think that's good because people start getting too big for their boots. People start thinking they can talk to people however they like, and then the community starts getting like, it's almost like everyone starts becoming a fascist dictator of everything. Like, everyone just thinks they're the best, and it just doesn't work like that because they're not. Not everyone is that good. And even myself, I don't think I'm that good anymore. I think people have got much better than me, but at the same time, they're allowed that. But I don't agree with the whole partnership thing. That's made me not like the YouTube community as much, because I mean, it's just not what it was. You guys can think I'm selfish for saying that, but I'm sure if you actually give this a listen and think about it in your own minds, rather than just kind of listening to what I'm saying and thinking, oh no, that's not good. If you actually think about it, you'll understand what I'm coming from. So yeah, I do use it just as more of like a portfolio. Not even that really, because people just seem to comment all the time with negative comments, and they don't give any constructive criticism. They don't really voice their opinion. It's just a negative comment, and I don't really appreciate that at all. But I prefer doing tutorials for you guys because it's teaching you guys some things, and you can't really put negative feedback on a tutorial. You're being taught something for free. Why would you want to kind of dislike that? But okay, thanks Moon for that question. I am Ludwig Loken. Sent me a message saying, tips for new beginner photographers and filmmakers. Get yourselves out there, practice, and do a lot. As a filmmaker, if you're independent, I'm assuming none of you have got film companies, production companies that are like signed to you. So, as a beginner tip, get writing scripts. Get starting your own little serials. Start doing your own little web series, your own little short films. You're not going to get anywhere without doing that. One of the advantages I've got over people is that I can go to interviews in universities and say, look, I've done this, and what do you think? Whereas if I've had nothing, they'd just be like, well, we've got no evidence of your skill levels, so they wouldn't know what to do. Tips for new photographers. Everyone's a photographer lately, aren't they? If you've got an SLR, you're a photographer. Basically, because I'm not saying that everyone's good at photography, but digital SLRs make it so easy for people to just pick it up and take a good photo, because composition isn't that hard to get anymore. With live view on the display, you can just see how the picture looks before you take it, so people can just experiment with that. I think there was a lot more skill in original film when it was on a reel sort of thing. A lot more skill was involved then, because you couldn't preview the picture on the camera. You had to wait till it developed, and if it was bad, then it was bad. Whereas now you can delete it on the camera. You can sit there for an hour and take the same picture if you really wanted to get it perfect. Also, Photoshop enables people, and Lightroom enables people to edit their photos however they like, which can enhance them a lot, which can give you a good advice. I mean, two people could probably take exactly the same photo, but with a bit of editing, the edited one will look a lot better. So, as a photographer, try and do something completely out of the norm. Do something crazy. That's how you'll get noticed. Not just normal pictures of like sunsets, flowers. That won't work. You need to do something crazy. I'm not saying go around massacring people up and take pictures of it, but I'm just saying do something which stands out from the crowd. But anyway, guys, thanks for submitting your questions. If you guys have any other questions that aren't too similar to ones in the video I answered just now, then comment them in the section below, tweet me, and I'll do the same as this video again. It's been really fun explaining all these things. I hope this video has not been too long. But yeah, so thanks for watching. If your question's been answered, then I hope it's been answered to your satisfaction. If you have any other questions, please feel free to comment, as I've just said. And I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.